Okay, now that it's my 100th video and I've got well over 250 subs now, I wanted to kick off my first video of 2011 with something super special. But I got lazy, so I mashed together Devastator's Tummy Trouble, a snail crawling over some leaves, and Eric Cartman doing karaoke.
Carry that, no he can't read my poker face. She got me like nobody. Carry my, no he can't read my poker face. She's got me like nobody. Pop, 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 poker face, pop, pop, poker face. Na, 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 na. Pop, 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 poker face, pop, pop, poker face. Na, 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 na.
Now that you're sufficiently confused and disturbed, time to get to the emo portion of this video.
Oh, cruel fate! Why do you mock me?
If you've been following my reviews for a while, you'd remember I've had the shittiest luck with Game Gear titles. The first one I ever owned was that disgrace to mutant kind called X-Men Games Master's Legacy, and then came Beavis and Butthead's triumphant rise to mediocrity.
For the longest time, the best game I was able to find for the Game Gear was PGA Tour 96. Yeah, I know. Before anyone mentions that I only found the crap games, I have since found an actual copy of a Sonic game for the Game Gear, Triple Trouble.
But come on, people. Making a half-decent portable Sonic game is not fucking rocket science. It happens all the time for Nintendo's handhelds now. I don't want just a decent Game Gear game, I want an exceptional one.
But thankfully, there is one shining beacon of hope left for the Game Gear. The Shining Force series. As much as I still worship on the 16-bit altars of Yoshi's Island, Super Metroid, and A Link to the Past, this right here is my favorite game ever. And there is one Shining Force game for the Game Gear, and here it is, the Sword of Hajya. If this can't deliver on the Game Gear, nothing will. So, better brace myself. Here we go.
Before you hit start, the demo plays an opening cutscene showing the grisly blood sacrifice performed by the game's team of bosses, introducing you to the villains you'll eventually fight. As I watched this, one word popped into my head. Effort! Effort is being made to draw me into the story. Sure, the original Phantasy Star had a shorter opening with a more emotional death, but damn it, we're on the right track here. Or are we? Turns out this intro was necessary for us Americans. This was actually the second Shining Force game for the Game Gear in Japan, and the only one translated for the American market, which picks up right where the first left off. Thankfully, these first two were also remade and ported to the Sega CD in the form of, wait for it, Shining Force CD.
So I guess that's okay. I mean, what company would think about releasing a big game where the immediate predecessor was only available in Japan, and what company could get away with that? Who? Who, I ask you?
Anyway, in case you somehow don't already know, Shining Force is a series of tactical RPGs from Camelot, now famous for stuff like Mario Golf and Golden Sun. Isn't that delicious irony? Nowadays, Camelot's responsible for Nintendo's newest popular RPG series, but back then, they worked on an RPG franchise for Nintendo's old rival, which was essentially Sega's answer to Fire Emblem. And since Nintendo hogged the Fire Emblem franchise for their home country, Sega one-upped them, and so many Americans got their first taste of tactical RPG goodness from Sega. Nice going, Big N. Anyway, as the story starts, Cypress's prince has been cursed, his right arm turned to stone, and he's the only one who can wield the legendary Sword of Hajya, meant to best the evil god Ion. Once the game's underway, you take up the role of the squad leader for the group guarding the Sword of Hajya, with the default name Deanna.
So don't go criticizing my counseling technique.
Not that Deanna. Of course, while stationed at the fortress, shit goes down, coming in the form of turquoise Moogle lookalikes breaking in, just to piss off Square fanboys. Then, predictably, the Sword of Hajya gets stolen, leading to an epic quest to retrieve it, involving glorious battles such as scaling a cliff with vines which your centaurs have no trouble climbing, and attacking on, and the battle screen background stays the same. Other than that weirdness, it still looks and feels like good old Shining Force. The fight scenes, spell effects, and backgrounds look great for 8-bit hardware, and like its Genesis cousins, Hajya still involves brain power as you work to level up your expanding roster and strategically move your troops. You better get used to doing the latter, seeing how some attack spells will lock onto more than one fighter if you're too hasty. Oh god, oh Jesus, stop subjecting us to sub-zero temperatures, it's very painful! And in keeping with tradition, Camelot also put in a trick which lets you rename every single playable character. As if you couldn't figure out that I did just that by now. And I'm just glad I used the trick, because a lot of names from Shining Force 2 were used here, even for characters that are nothing alike. For example, this healer who's a pain in the ass to level up has the default name Slade. In SF2, Slade's your supremely awesome rat ninja. Not that rat ninja. Ah, there we go. Like I said, it's a good thing I gave the team names of characters I give a shit about, since the heroes weren't made out to be as interesting as the Shining Force 2 cast. And that game had double the characters. The interaction between the villains was great, though, especially this pissing match with Barbara and Solo. Then again, with these 8-bit graphics, who can tell? This could be some weird courtship dance in the religion of Ion, for all we know. But back to the subject of naming all the party members after the X-Men. I mean, cut me some slack. As it turns out, it made sort of Hajya feel more X-Men-ish than the Game Gear's actual X-Men games. Ugh. The names I picked out work surprisingly well, too. I mean, Forge lugs around heavy artillery, Deadpool is a ninja-looking motherfucker, early on Storm can whip up blizzards that decimate everything caught in the crossfire, Angel naturally was my one bird warrior, Beast wound up being a hard-hitting monk who could also heal party members. Oh, wait. Speaking of the Freeze 3 spell, turns out that was another way us Americans got fucked over. In our version, for some reason Freeze 3 does more than double damage and covers a wider area. A good analogy might be the overpowered pistol from the original Halo, but while that just made multiplayer in Halo 1 a little fucky, the Freeze 3 glitchiness is devastating in Sword of Hajya. Let's just say you'll be glad Camelot did away with how Fire Emblem doesn't let you revive characters, because in the game's later battles, there's always at least one fucker with Freeze 3, and you'll need to send out a sacrificial lamb to lure the bastard out. But it's still game over if the leader takes it up the ass, and I lost this way due to Freeze 3 more than once. Other fucky things I can complain about? How about the two hidden characters, who you find by searching random portions of the wall in battles 18 and 21? How bored do you have to be to find that out on your own, especially since there really aren't any town visits or people to give you clues? And there's no explanation. Was it something like Sypha having been turned into a statue in Castlevania 3? Fuck hell if I know! On top of that, the two hidden characters are a ninja and a samurai. Last I checked, Camelot's a Japanese team. Why would they make the two character classes most reflective of Japanese culture so obscure and hidden, hardly anyone would find them? Despite such glitchiness and weirdness, there were also a lot of surprises for even a veteran of the Genesis games like myself. For example, at one point, the Shining Force gets split up and this lasts for quite a few battles, throwing you an unexpected curve and adding a welcome sense of tension. Some of the battles were pretty creative as well, requiring quick thinking and strategy. Here, there's this Ion statue parked in front of the quickest route to the last area, forcing you down a narrow path. Every 3 turns, the bloody thing fires and deals damage to everything caught in the crossfire, and there's little space in the alcoves for your troops to safely hide. It's a mad gambit to move your troops through and take out the opposition before it's too late. So yeah, it's one hell of a tactical RPG in its own right, but when compared to Shining Force 2, it just feels too damn scaled back. Perhaps the biggest example is how promotions can be done after level 10 instead of 20, which I didn't get right away. And like I said before, there's no town visits like in the Genesis ones, just this one store when you egress out of a battle, where the shopkeeper makes like a poo and says, "Thank you, come again!" In the end, I feel the best analogy to playing this after Shining Force 2 is seeing Terminator 3 after having revered Terminator 2 for so long. All the critical elements are there, but the sheer amount of epic is somehow toned down. It's one of those weird cases where you simply love it as a fan, even though the whole time you're hit over the head by how inferior it is to the previous outing in every way. But as an old Shining Force fan, and someone looking for at least one standout Game Gear game, Sword of Hajya did better than I dared imagine after all the other train wrecks I had to witness on the portable. Hell, I even like it more than the first Genesis game. Nowadays, you're probably better off playing Shining Force CD on emulator, but this was a great portable experience back then and holds up on its own now. I give it an 8.5 out of 10.